All right. All right, welcome Gavin.
Hi there, folks. So I am with AltspaceVR. If you haven't heard of us before, we are a social VR platform. We're on Gear VR and desktop. We essentially let you be with other people inside of VR and play tabletop games and attend comedy shows and essentially anything you'd like to do in real life, but you can't do with other people because they're not next to you. So what I'm here to talk to you guys about today is tomorrow we will be releasing a large update to our SDK. So what our SDK is it basically is a shim layer between Three.js, which is a way of making 3D websites for the web, and Altspace. So what that lets you do is essentially create 3D websites that when you're inside of Altspace appear as holographic applications all around you. So we use that today for things like we have a Dungeons and Dragons implementation, so we have like a virtual table and virtual dice and into a web. We use that for a whole bunch of different board games. We use it for like painting applications or 3D painting, all that kind of stuff. But up till now, it's basically been capable of doing a subset of what Three.js is able to do, which is normal sort of meshes and you can sort of consider them as like solid objects that you can move around and do different things with. But it's been primarily the same kind of content that you could do on the web with existing browsers. And what we have done over the last few months is we took a look at one of the new libraries that have come out, which is called A-Frame. And A-Frame puts this really awesome entity component system on top of Three.js, which makes it really easy to extend. So what we did is we introduced two new technologies in a brand new activity. And so that activity is called the playground. And so everything that you see in my computer now. Leave it small like that just so we don't ruin the presentation. But everything that you see in this space here is being defined via HTML, essentially. It's A-Frame. And so we have particle effects and physics and real-time networking and all this kind of stuff that you would traditionally associate with gaming engines, but everything in here is like maybe like a couple hundred lines of HTML. And the only JavaScript that I have in here is I've been waiting for this since like day one, which is like the magically appearing staircase. So these sort of platforms rise up when you sort of walk over them in VR. I'm showing this on a laptop, but this works on Gear VR, this works on desktop. So I can show you some other features in here. We basically have, so we have native text. So you can do text rendering in 3D, which is actually, it seems like an easy problem, but it's actually really hard. So we have, you can basically use HTML to define text that's being rendered with signed distance fields. So it's the highest quality VR text you can ever get. It's much higher quality than textures. It's much more performant than geometry. You can get arbitrarily close to these and it stays crisp. We get all sorts of particle effects. We also get native colliders. And we have implemented our sort of physical interactable objects here. So if I like grab, grab one of these, oops, you can like throw them around. Our 2D controls are not quite up to our VR controls. These all work with 6-off controllers and with our friends Leap Motion, all that kind of stuff. But we're handling all the network synchronization for this. So normally you'd have to spin up a Node.js server or Photon or whatever it is. You basically use one line of HTML and you get these live, real-time synchronized physics objects. So if you guys want to learn more, we're having a developer meetup in Altspace tomorrow night at 7 p.m. You can also come and see me afterwards and talk to me. But basically this is the fastest way to create cross-platform VR content. It's like actually very zen because all this stuff is made in a text editor. Like you just literally sit there and just like type out lines of code and like copy and paste and like use templating and stuff like that. In fact, this room is actually like a different HTML file than those like walkways out there, and we just dropped it in with like an HTML import. So very, very fast, very, very easy. And let me know or show up at the meetup tomorrow to learn more. Thank you so much.
I believe in you.
All right. All right, bear with us here. We have one more presentation, then we're going to jump into community announcements. But our final presentation is from Brian.